I wanted to go ahead and just talk a little bit about that we are going to be changing it up a little bit. So we're still going to be talking about Texas. Still going to be talking about witchcraft, but we're also going to be talking about other practitioners that are not so much in Texas. So other people that are not in Texas, like maybe someone that is known for something that they've done, someone that you could probably look up and research and talk about. If you have any feedback about that, you can always talk and message and let me know. But I just didn't want you to find it out of the ordinary that we're not talking about the usual things that we talk about. So let's go ahead and jump into it. This is Witchcraft Texas Down again. It's Liz. We're going to be discussing Helena Blavatsky, Helena Petrovna von Hahn. She was a Russian mystic and an author. She is said to have co-founded the Theosophical Society in 1875. So that was quite a while ago. I think I also read from her that one of the books that she wrote, Hitler had it under his pillow. It was found under his pillow or something like that. So she's always been kind of controversial, and go ahead and get into it. A lot of the things that I'll be talking about, I'll go ahead and post links as to where I'm getting my information from. I'm also reading another book that did have her quote in it, and when I looked her up, I just thought she was interesting to go ahead and talk about. So she was a Russian mystic. She gained an international following as born into an aristocratic family of Russian German descent. Now she can also claim to be French because of her great great grandfather, French nobleman. She traveled widely around the empire as a child, largely. She was self educated. She developed an interest in Western esotericism. I think that's Esotericim. Esotericism, if that's how you say it. If not, I guess let me know. During her teenage years, she embarked on a series of world travels, visiting Europe, the Americas, and India. She also claimed that during this period, she encountered a group of spiritual adepts, the masters of the ancient wisdom. She went to Tibet, I believe, and she went there to develop a deeper understanding of the synthesis of religion, philosophy, and science. Both were contemporary. By the early 1870s, Blavatsky was involved in the spiritualistic movement, although defending the genuine existing of spiritualistic phenomena. She argued against the mainstream spiritualist idea that entities contacted were the spirits of the dead. Relocating to the United States in 1873, she befriended Henry Steele Olcott and rose to public attention as a spirit medium, attention that included public accusations of fraud. So, Mr. Henry Steele Olcott, I believe they met. There was a house. It was a house that had a lot of paranormal activity. It was on a farm, actually. And it was the Eddy Brothers farm. They had a seance. Blavatsky was there, and so was Alcott. And they met. Which is pretty interesting that out of all that, it goes into deeper. So in 1875, New York City, Blavatsky co-founded the Theosophical Society with Olcott and William Quan Judge. In 1877, she published Isis Unveiled, a book outlining her theosophical worldview. In 1880, she and Olcott moved to India, where the society was allied in Arya Samaj, a Hindu reform movement. Although opposed by the British colonial administration, Theosophy spread rapidly in India, but experienced internal problems after Blavatsky was accused. What was she accused of? She was accused of producing fraudulent paranormal phenomena amid ailing health. In 1885, she returned to Europe, there establishing the Blavatsky Lodge in London. Here she published The Secret Doctrine, a commentary on what she had claimed were ancient Tibetan manuscripts, as well as two further books, The Key to Theosophy, The Voice of Silence. She did pass away of influenza in 1891. So she was a controversial figure during her lifetime, championed by supporters as an enlightened sage and derided as a charlatan by critics. So she was held up here, but by critics she was charlatan, so fraud. Her theosophical doctrines influenced the spread of Hindu and Buddhist ideas in the West, as well as development of Western esoteric currents like Ariosophy and the New Age movement. So Alcott actually did go ahead and bring a lot as far as Buddhism. He did help to establish that here in the U.S., and that's a lot of credit given to him. So in her early life, developing a reliable account of Blavatsky's life has proven difficult for biographers because in later life she deliberately provided contradictory accounts and falsifications about her own past. Furthermore, very few of her own writings written before 1873 survive, meaning that biographers must rely heavily on these unreliable later accounts. The accounts of her early life provided by her family members, they have been considered dubious by biographers. So remember how we were talking about that her birthday, I don't know if I mentioned that was a little controversial, like her birthday might have not been August 12th. It wasn't. So according to her birthday was August 12th, 1831. According to the Julian calendar used in the 19th century Russia, it was actually July 31st. So in Russia, they used a different calendar that they did in the US. So then her birthday would actually be July 31st. Why they haven't changed it, I'm not really so sure. Immediately after her birth, she was baptized into the Russian Orthodox Church. Talking about her mother was Helena Andreeva von Hahn, a self-educated 17-year-old who was the daughter of Princess Yelena Pavlovna Dolgorukaya, a similarly self-educated aristocrat. So it seems like a lot of the family is self-educated. Blavatsky's father was Pyotr Alexeyevich von Hahn. He was a captain in the Russian Royal Horse Artillery, and he would later rise to the rank of colonel. Now, the father was not present at the birth of Blavatsky. He was in Poland fighting to suppress the November uprising against Russian rule. And he didn't really get to see her until she was 6 months old. In London, Blavatsky founded a magazine, controversially titling it Lucifer. This theosophical publication she sought to completely ignore claims regarding paranormal phenomena and focused instead on a discussion of philosophical ideas. Blavatsky also finished writing The Secret Doctrine, which was edited by the Cadles. As a commercial publisher willing to publish approximately 1,500-page work could not be found, Blavatsky established a Theosophical Publishing Company, who brought out the work in 2 volumes, the first published in October 1888 and the second in January 1889. Blavatsky claimed that the book constituted her commentary on the Book of Zion, a religious text written in Censar, which she had been taught while studying. Buddhologist David Regal claimed that he identified the Book of Yod, including Blavatsky's most scholars of Buddhism to have examined the secret doctrine have concluded that there has no such text as the Book of Zion, and instead it was a fictional creation of Blavatsky's. Blavatsky outlined her own cosmogonical ideas about how the universe, the planet, and the human species came to exist. She also discussed her views about the human being and their soul, thus dealing with issues surrounding an afterlife. So to her, I think there was like 7 like human species races, and that one of them would come after the other. Like I'd have to go a little bit into that one, but that's like a whole show on its own. And she does have a lot to talk about. So that winter, Britain had been afflicted. So the winter that she passed away, Britain was afflicted by an influenza epidemic. I think it was between 1889 to 1890, the flu pandemic. So Blavatsky did contract the virus. It led to her death she died on the afternoon of May the 8th, 1891. They did the date would come to be commemorated by Theosophist ever since as White Lotus Day. Her body was cremated at a walking crematorium on May the 11th. This is something that I did find a little bit interesting in regards to what was said about her. Like everything else was stating, there wasn't any true stuff about her. She didn't necessarily give accurate information. Some of it was made up. People don't know why she would make things up, but it's actually caught a few times on not giving accurate information about her life or any other events. That's why she wasn't very believable. The biographer Peter Washington described Blavatsky's as a short, stout, forceful woman with strong arms, several chins, unruly hair, a determined mouth, and a large, liquid, slightly bulging eyes. She had a distinctive, azure colored eyes and was overweight throughout her life. According to the biographer Marion Mead, Blavatsky's general appearance was outrageously untidy. In later life, she was known for wearing loose robes and wore many rings on her fingers. She was a heavy cigarette smoker throughout her life and was known for smoking hashish at times. She lived simply, and her followers believed that. She also refused to accept monetary payment in return for her teachings. Actually, she refused to receive payment for her teachings. Blavatsky preferred to be known by the acronym HPB. So if you see any quotes and stuff like that, they will go ahead and have HPV. She preferred to be known by that. I think it was developed. Yeah, it was developed by occult. She avoided social functions and was scornful of social obligations. She spoke Russian, Georgian, English, French, Italian, Arabic, Sanskrit. Mead referred to her as an eccentric who abided by no rules except her own. I know a lot of people like that. Someone who had utter disregard for the Victorian code of morality. Mead believed that Blavatsky perceived herself as a messianic figure whose purpose was to save the world by promoting theosophy. Lackman stated that Blavatsky exhibited what he referred to as Russian traits, an intense devotion to spiritual truth combined with a profound contradiction. Washington expressed the view that she was a persuasive storyteller with the power to fascinate others, although noted that she was also self-absorbed and egotistical. For Mead, Blavatsky had a vivid imagination and a propensity for lying. Goodwin noted that Blavatsky had a fearsome temper. The religious studies scholar Bruce F. Campbell noted that she had been a strong-willed, independent child and that the harsh environment of her childhood might have resulted in her difficulty in controlling her temper and her tendency to swear. She was self-educated, and it seems like she came from... Anyway, I'm going to let that go. In his opinion, she represented an archetypal, charismatic leader. Anthropologist Leo Klengen claimed that Blavatsky's indefatigability and energy were surprising. The Indologist Alexander Stankovich stated that Blavatsky's charisma exerted influence on Charles Massey and Staten Moses. Blavatsky's sexuality has been an issue of dispute. Many biographers have believed that she remained celibate throughout her life. Boy. With Washington believing that she hated sex with her own sort of passion. In later life, she stated that she was a virgin, although she had been married to 2 men during her lifetime. Throughout its early years, the Theosophical Society promoted celibacy even within marriage. Some suggested that she may have been a lesbian or transvestite due to the early accounts in which she traveled while dressed in masculine attire. Well, if she's here now, it's not called transvestite. I mean, it could be, I suppose. But now you're just androgynous. Mead thought that Blavatsky had, with few exceptions, been contemptuous of other women, suggesting that while this may have been the result of general societal misogyny, it may have reflected that Blavatsky had been jilted by another woman. I mean, if she can't take rejection very well, that's not good. But it seems like it also goes on, as well as they do go ahead and talk about social beliefs and in regards to Blavatsky. It was just really interesting. That was just partly of the information that I kind of soaked in about it. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I, on my part, did actually enjoy it. Now, the part that kind of threw me off, again, I'm going to mention it, was the part where they talked about that her book was found underneath Hitler's pillow. And apparently, there is a symbol on Blavatsky's book of a swastika and a snake. And they said that it says that that might have inspired Hitler to use the swastika. That's a whole nother story. But I hope that you guys enjoyed it. My name is Liz, and I hope that you guys keep it magical. Have a wonderful day. Take care of yourself.